Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Hockey Talk with TG Podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hope you guys are having a great Monday. A little bit windy outside today, but we're going to get through this episode of Hockey Talk TG Podcast. Without further ado, we're going to get started. There were 7 games on the slate yesterday, so we're going to recap all 7, starting with the New York Rangers and New York Islanders game, in which the Rangers won 5-2 against their rivals, the Metropolitan Division. Artemi Panarin scored twice in the win. Vincent Trocheck, Chris Kreider, and Adam Edstrom also scored as well. For Vincent Trocheck, this was his 200th career goal, and Chris Kreider, of course, scored a shorthanded goal in the Rangers' 5-2 win. This game did air on NHL Network yesterday, so probably should have been able to watch it on there. Mika Zibanejad notched 3 assists in the win, while Igor Shesterkin made 35 saves for the Rangers, and they moved to 8-2-1 of the season. For the Islanders, Casey Cizikas and Brock Nelson scored, while Ilya Sorokin made 35 saves as well for the Islanders, which they fall to 4-6-1 of the season. The Islanders, they return home to face the Pittsburgh Penguins Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, while the Rangers conclude their 3-game homestand against the Buffalo Sabres Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Now we're going to move on to the Winnipeg Jets and Tampa Bay Lightning, 2 great teams right here, but the Jets will come out with the win. They put up a 7th spot in their 7-4 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning, which they moved to 11-1-0 of the season. Their only loss was at home October 28th, I believe, a 6-4 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But other than that, they are red hot. They are clicking. And we didn't expect Winnipeg to have this great start to the season, but hey, they're proving all the doubters and haters wrong. Mark Scheifele, Valisev, Nemestikov, Nikolai Ehlers, and Cole Perfetti each had a 2.9. All 4 of those players getting 1 goal and 1 assist each. Dylan Sandberg scored the game-winning goal for the Winnipeg Jets. He scored the go-ahead goal with 12 minutes and 22 seconds left in the third period. And, of course, Nikolai Ehlers and Cole Perfetti will add an empty net goals to seal the deal. And Alex Alfalo, the former LA King, he scored for the Winnipeg Jets, while Connor Hellebuck made 26 saves for Winnipeg in that win. For the Tampa Bay Lightning, Nikita Kucherov, he had a 2.9, notching 1 goal and 1 assist. Brandon Hagel, Mitchell Shaffer, and Braden Point also scored for Tampa. Bad news for Tampa. Braden Point also left the game at 11 minutes and 13 seconds into the first period and did not return after that. So, not great news if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. And Jonas Johansson, he made 27 saves for the Lightning, which they fall to 7-5-0 of the season. The Lightning conclude their 3-game road trip in St. Louis Tuesday as they take on the St. Louis Blues at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Jets continue their 4-game homestand against Utah Hockey Club, which they're coming off of a 4-3 overtime loss to the Vegas Golden Knights Saturday. But they head to Winnipeg to take on the Winnipeg Jets Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Now we're going to move on to the Boston Bruins and Seattle Kraken. So Jeremy Swayman makes 23 saves in the Bruins 2-0 shutout win over the Kraken. This is the 2nd straight shutout for the Boston Bruins. Of course, they were playing a back-to-back entering this game as well. They had a 3-0 shutout win over Philly Saturday, in which Jonas Korpisalo managed to make 20 saves in that win. And then Jeremy Swayman comes in. He makes 23 saves in the Bruins 2-0 shutout win. So back-to-back shutout wins for the Boston Bruins. Justin Brazeau and Charlie Coyle scored for the Bruins, and both goals came in that first period. The Kraken, this is the 2nd time being shut out. Of course, they were shut out not yesterday. They were shut out in Saturday's 3-0 shutout loss to the Ottawa Senators. So they were also playing a back-to-back game as well, and they got shut out in 2 straight games. So not looking good so far for Seattle. And, of course, the Bruins moved to 6-1 of the season, and they head to Toronto to face their arch rivals, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Kraken wrap up their 5-game road trip in Colorado against the Avalanche Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time, which hopefully they can close out with a win, because their only game that they won so far during their 5-game road trip was against Montreal, which was I believe, an 8-2 win over the Canadiens. And Brandon Montour, he had a hat trick in that game. They started off their road trip in Toronto, which they lost 4-1. I think that was the final score. And then they win against Montreal 8-2, and then they lose to Ottawa 3-0, and then they get shut out again by Boston 2-0. So not looking great so far for Seattle on this 5-game road trip, but they hope to close it out with a win in Colorado against the Avalanche Tuesday. Now we're going to head forward to Carolina, where the Hurricanes win action against the Capitals. So they won their 6th straight game in their 4-2 win over the Washington Capitals. Dmitry Orlov had 2 goals in the game, so of course he used to play for the Capitals, and he won the Stanley Cup with the Capitals, of course, in 2018, and he just had to put up 2 goals against his former team. One of them turned out to be the game winner. Martin Necas had a 3-point night for Carolina, notching 1 goal and 2 assists, and Pierre Kochetkov made 19 saves in his 4th straight start for the Hurricanes, and they moved to 8-2-0 of the season. For the Capitals side, Alex Ovechkin and Brandon Duhaime scored for Washington, and of course this will be Ovi's 4th straight game that he will score a goal. So I think he has up to 860 goals in his career, and so he only needs 35 more to pass Wayne Gretzky on the NHL's all-time goal-scoring list. And he's on pace for 40 goals. I'm hoping he'll get a 40-goal season. He is having the great start that we're used to seeing. Of course, he would have the start when he was in his prime. So he's on pace for 40 goals. He probably won't get a 50-goal season like he usually does, but a 40-goal season should seal the deal to break that record. For Charlie Lindgren, he made 41 saves for the Capitals as the Capitals moved to 8-3-0 this season. They were playing a back-to-back set heading into this game, and they won 3 straight as well. And so they lose to Carolina, snapping their 3-game losing streak, and so they're 1-for-1 in this back-to-back game set because they played Columbus Saturday, in which they blew them out 7-2, and now they lose 4-2 to Carolina. But they return home to face the Nashville Predators Wednesday, who had won 5-2 against the Avalanche at home. Now they head to Washington, D.C. to take on the Capitals Wednesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Hurricanes continue their 4-game homestand against the Flyers Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Now we're going to move to the state of hockey, Minnesota. Matt Boldy, he scores the overtime game-winning goal in the Wild's 2-1 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs Sunday. So, of course, Matt Boldy won it on a breakaway 2 minutes and 14 seconds into overtime. So, of course, the Maple Leafs were trying to clear the puck out of the zone. So, Mac Domi chipped the loose puck into the neutral zone of the ice. But Jared Spurgeon skated in time to get the puck, and he sent the pass back up to the blue line to Marco Rossi, and then he gave it to Matt Boldy, and then he roofed it top shell past Anthony Stolarz for the overtime game-winning goal. And Ryan Hartman also scored for Minnesota, while Philip Gustafson made 27 saves for the Wild, and they moved to 8-1-2 of the season, and they won 7 of their 8 past games. So Minnesota is really rolling. Kirill Kaprizov had his multi-point streak snapped at 7 games, in which he only got 6 goals and 11 assists during that multi-point streak. He actually leads the NHL in points, so he's currently first place for points during this 2024-25 season so far. For Toronto, William Nylander scored, which of course turned out to be a power play goal. And Anthony Stolarz made 31 saves for the Leafs, which they fall to 6-5-2 of the season. And of course, entering this game, they were coming off of a 4-2 loss to the St. Louis Blues Saturday, and they were trying to go 1-for-1 on this back-to-back game set. But of course, that didn't happen as they fall to 0-2. But good news for the Leafs. They head back home Tuesday for the start of a 4-game homestand against the Boston Bruins at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Wild play the Kings Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The Kings are in action today against the Nashville Predators, so this is their back-to-back games right here. They'll play Nashville today at Bridgestone Arena, and then they'll head to Minnesota to play the Wild. So a little back-to-back set for the LA Kings. Fun fact against the Leafs, for the Leafs, their 4-game homestand is actually against 3 original 16. So, of course, they play Boston Tuesday to kick off their 4-game homestand. And then they play, I believe, Detroit next, and then Montreal, and then Ottawa. So, little fun fact for you guys to know. All right, Oilers, Flames, Battle of Alberta. So the Oilers got the job done over their arch rivals, the Calgary Flames. Zach Hyman scored the game-winning goal in the Oilers' 4-2 win over the Flames. So he broke the tie midway through the third period with a power play goal. Leon Draisaitl had a 3-point night for the Oilers, notching 1 goal and 2 assists. And Stuart Skinner made 29 saves for Edmonton, which they moved to 6-5-1 of the season. And the Oilers have won 4 out of their last 5 games. 2 straight games without their superstar captain, Connor McDavid. Of course, news broke out that he won't be back with the Oilers for 2-3 weeks due to that ankle injury he suffered in the Oilers' 6-1 loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets. For the Flames, Anthony Mantha and Igor Sharangovich scored for Calgary, and Dan Vladar made 27 saves for the Flames, in which they also are 6-5-1 in the season following that loss. And it's not looking so good for the Flames as they had lost 5 of their 6 games. For the Oilers, they return home Monday to play the New Jersey Devils at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Of course, this game will be on NHL Network for U.S. residents, and the game will be on Amazon Prime and Sportsnet for Canadian residents. For the Flames, they head to Montreal Tuesday to play the Canadiens at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This is the start of a 3-game road trip for them. And speaking of road trips, the Blackhawks, they wrap up their road trip with a 4-2 win over the Anaheim Ducks. So Connor Bedard had a 3-point night, notching only 3 assists in the game. Isaac Phillips, Teuvo Teravainen, Ryan Donato, and Seth Jones scored for the Blackhawks. So entering this game, the Blackhawks were coming off of a back-to-back set. So Saturday, they played the Kings. They won 4-3. In the shootout in comeback fashion. So Tyler Bertuzzi tied it up in the final seconds of that game. And then Ryan Donato with a slick move in the shootout won the game for Chicago against LA. And then they head into this game to play the Ducks. And they won 4-2 to end their 5-game road trip just 3-2-0. Of course, the only 2 losses were against Dallas and, surprisingly, San Jose. And then they won against Colorado, LA, and then Anaheim. Taylor Hall notched 2 assists in the game, and Arvis Soderblom made 37 saves for the Blackhawks, so he was absolutely tremendous in that. So not used to the type of performance I'm used to seeing from Arvis Soderblom, but this game he really put on a show for sure. Fun fact for the Blackhawks, Ryan Donato, I think he scored in like the past previous games. So this game, and then the game against LA, and then the game against I think he scored against San Jose, but not sure. But he has absolutely been on fire for the Blackhawks. He's actually the Blackhawks' leading goal scorer so far, so he certainly put it up goals for Chicago. But the Blackhawks are 5-7-1 this season, and they were 3-2-0 during their 5-game road trip. For the Ducks, Brock McGinn and Mason McTavish scored for Anaheim, and Lucas Dostal made 25 saves for the Ducks as they fall to 4-5-2 of the season. The Blackhawks return home to face the Detroit Red Wings Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This game will air on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max. The Ducks continue their 6-game homestand against the Vancouver Canucks Tuesday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, so not a busy day in the NHL as there's only 2 games on the slate for today. So we got the LA Kings heading to the Music City to take on the Nashville Predators at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then the New Jersey Devils wrap up their 3-game Western Canada road trip in Edmonton as they take on the Edmonton Oilers at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. This game, the Devils and Oilers game, like I said, will air on NHL Network for U.S. residents, and then the game will be on Amazon Prime and Sportsnet for Canada residents. Now, when I first heard that they were putting NHL games on Prime, I thought U.S. residents can watch this game as well, but it turns out that only Canada residents can watch the game, which to me, as an American, absolutely sad to see, because I would really love to watch a NHL game on Amazon Prime, since they kind of announced it at the start, before the season had started. But it's only for Canada residents. So if you live in Canada, you'll be able to watch it. And of course, U.S. residents, they won't be able to watch it, unfortunately. So Devils Oilers, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. It will be on NHL Network for U.S. residents, and then for Canada residents, it will be on Amazon Prime and Sportsnet. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in as always. So hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. God first as always. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys Wednesday for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Take care.